Stop. Don't just listen to this. Do this with me for a second. Put your hand on your thigh and ask yourself honestly, does your body feel warm, alive, like blood is actually moving? Or does it feel slow, cold, almost stuck? Because if it's the second one, just hearing this video won't change anything. You'll have to act on it. I've been practicing medicine for over 27 years, and I thought I understood circulation. But a few years ago, something happened that forced me to rethink everything. I started noticing it in myself first, waking up with heavy legs, slightly numb fingers, that strange fog in the morning that coffee couldn't fix. Then my patients, men in their 60s, 70s, started describing the exact same thing, almost word for word. We tried what everyone recommends: supplements, blood pressure meds, morning routines, even those boosters you see advertised everywhere. Some helped a little, most didn't last. And what surprised me was this: the real problem wasn't what they were doing during the day, it was what was happening at night. That was the shift for me. Circulation doesn't start in the morning, it's built while you sleep. And there's a mechanism almost nobody talks about: how inflammation, stress hormones, and nitric oxide interact overnight to either repair your blood vessels or slowly shut them down. When I understood that, everything changed. And what I'm going to show you next is a simple nightly mixture, just a few ingredients stirred into olive oil that targets all of it at once. Stay with me because each part plays a different role, and most men get at least one of them wrong. And number 3, I'll be honest, I almost dismissed it at first, but in the end it turned out to be the missing piece, the one that makes olive oil, cacao, turmeric, and black pepper actually work together the way they're supposed to. If you're curious where that comes from, I left a simple breakdown in the description below. But before we go deeper, quick question. How old are you? I read every comment, and it really helps me understand who I'm speaking to. All right, let's start from the foundation, because if you don't understand how olive oil works inside your body, nothing else in this routine will make sense. 1. The foundation. Why olive oil comes first. Let me start with something so simple. Most men overlook it. Before you think about supplements, before you think about pills, I want you to try this tonight. 1 tablespoon of high-quality extra virgin olive oil taken 30 to 60 minutes before bed. That's it. It sounds almost too basic to matter, but what most people don't realize is this is where everything begins. Here's why this works, and I'll keep it simple. After the age of 60, your blood vessels don't respond the way they used to. The inner lining, what we call the endothelium, becomes stiff, inflamed, and less able to produce nitric oxide, the molecule that tells your vessels to relax and open. Olive oil contains compounds, polyphenols, that protect that lining, reduce oxidative stress, and help your body restore that signaling again, especially during sleep when repair is most active. Now, this is the part that surprised even me. Olive oil isn't just good fat, it's also a delivery system. Around 70 to 80% of it is oleic acid, which helps your body absorb fat-soluble compounds much more efficiently. That means anything you combine with it, like cacao or turmeric later, gets into your bloodstream more effectively. So you're not just improving circulation, you're amplifying everything that comes next. There was a clinical study done on older adults following a Mediterranean-style diet rich in olive oil, and they saw up to a 30% improvement in endothelial function over time. Another trial showed reductions in inflammatory markers by nearly 20% after consistent daily intake. Now, I'm not telling you olive oil is a miracle, but I'm telling you it creates the conditions your body needs to heal. And here's the dual benefit most men care about. Better circulation doesn't just mean warmer hands and clearer mornings. It also means improved blood flow where it matters most, including areas tied directly to male performance and vitality. This is why many men notice not just energy returning, but confidence as well. So here's exactly how I want you to use it. 1 tablespoon, extra virgin, not refined, taken on its own or as a base, every night before sleep. Not once, not twice, but consistently. Because this doesn't work like a stimulant. It works like a repair system. Each night builds on the last, and over weeks, that's when you start to feel the difference. Now here's the thing, olive oil sets the stage, but on its own, it's only doing part of the job. The real shift happens when you add the next ingredient, the one that actually tells your blood vessels to open, and most men have never used it this way. 2. Cacao. Now let's build on that foundation, and I want you to do this very specifically. Starting tonight, take 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil and mix in 1 teaspoon of raw, unsweetened cacao powder. Stir it until it becomes a smooth paste, and take it 30 to 60 minutes before bed. If you're new to this, begin with half a teaspoon for the first 3 nights to let your system adjust, then move up to 1 full teaspoon, and after a week, you can increase to 2 teaspoons if tolerated well, and stay consistent for at least 3 to 4 weeks before expecting deeper changes. Here's where things get more interesting, and this is where traditional wisdom meets modern science. Cacao has been used for centuries in Central and South American cultures as a circulation tonic long before we understood why. Today we know it contains a compound called epicatechin, which directly stimulates an enzyme in your blood vessels responsible for producing nitric oxide, the exact signal your body needs to relax and widen arteries, allowing blood to flow more freely. Now let me explain the central mechanism in simple terms. Nitric oxide is like a switch that tells your blood vessels to open, but after 60, that switch becomes weaker and less responsive. What epicatechin does is reactivate that pathway, increasing nitric oxide availability, while olive oil enhances its absorption, meaning more of that compound actually reaches your bloodstream instead of being lost during digestion, and this is where the synergy becomes powerful. There was a controlled trial showing that regular cacao flavanol intake improved blood vessel dilation by up to 31% in older adults, and another study found increases in nitric oxide activity markers by nearly 40% after consistent use. But here's the part most people miss. Without a fat carrier like olive oil, a large portion of these flavanols simply pass through your system unused, which means you're getting only a fraction of the benefit. Now we also need to talk about risk because not all cacao is equal. Many commercial products are processed, alkalized, or loaded with sugar, which destroys the very compounds you're trying to use. If you're using sweetened chocolate powders, you're not just losing the benefit, you may actually be increasing inflammation and blood sugar instability, which works against circulation. When you combine cacao with olive oil, you're not just adding another ingredient, you're activating a second pathway of nitric oxide production while protecting it from breakdown. This creates a more sustained and amplified blood flow response, not a spike, but a steady improvement that builds night after night. So you now have the base, and you've turned on the flow. But here's the problem most men don't realize. Even if you increase blood flow, if your vessels are inflamed or partially blocked, that flow still won't reach where it needs to go. And this is where the next step becomes critical because we're about to clear the pathway itself. 3. Turmeric plus black pepper. Now we move to the step that most men skip, and I want you to follow this precisely. Take your olive oil and cacao mixture and add 1 level teaspoon of ground turmeric plus a small pinch of freshly ground black pepper. Stir it thoroughly and take it again 30 to 60 minutes before sleep. If you're new to turmeric, start with half a teaspoon for the first 5 days to avoid digestive discomfort, then gradually move up to a full teaspoon and stay consistent for at least 4 weeks to allow the anti-inflammatory effects to build. Here's why this matters more than people think. In traditional medicine, turmeric has always been used as a blood cleanser, but modern science gives us a clearer picture of what that really means. The active compound, curcumin, targets a central pathway in the body called NF-κB, which acts like a master switch for inflammation, and when this switch stays on, as it often does after age 60, it keeps your blood vessels in a constant state of irritation and narrowing. Let me simplify that. You can increase blood flow all you want, but if your vessels are inflamed, stiff, or partially restricted, that flow hits resistance. Curcumin works by calming that inflammatory signaling, allowing the vessel walls to relax and function properly again, while black pepper contains piperine, which blocks the enzymes that would normally break curcumin down before your body can use it, increasing its absorption dramatically. There was a clinical trial showing that curcumin supplementation improved endothelial function by around 26% in middle-aged and older adults, and another study reported reductions in inflammatory markers like CRP by up to 32% after consistent intake. But here's the key point. Without black pepper or a fat source, curcumin's absorption is extremely low, often less than 1%, which means most people using turmeric alone are barely getting any benefit. Now we also need to talk about risk. High doses of turmeric on an empty stomach can cause mild irritation in some individuals, especially if you have a sensitive digestive system or gallbladder issues, which is why starting low and combining it with olive oil is not just more effective, but also gentler on your body. And if you're taking blood thinners, this is something you should monitor carefully. When you combine turmeric, black pepper, and olive oil, you're creating a three-layer system: reduced inflammation, enhanced absorption, and improved delivery into your bloodstream. This doesn't just support circulation, it actually clears the pathway so the increased blood flow from cacao can move freely and reach deeper tissues. So now you've built the base, activated flow, and removed resistance. But there's still one hidden factor that can shut all of this down overnight, even if you do everything right. And that factor isn't in your blood vessels at all, it's in your stress response. 4. Ashwagandha. Now this is the step I want you to approach carefully because it changes what happens while you sleep. Take your existing mixture, olive oil, cacao, turmeric, and black pepper, and add 1/4 teaspoon of high-quality ashwagandha root powder, mix it thoroughly, and take it 30 to 60 minutes before bed. If you've never used ashwagandha before, start with just a pinch for the first 3 to 5 nights, then slowly increase to 1/4 teaspoon, and after 2 weeks, you may go up to 1/2 teaspoon if your body responds well, maintaining this routine consistently for at least 4 to 6 weeks. Now here's where we go deeper because this isn't just about blood flow anymore, it's about your nervous system. In traditional Ayurvedic medicine, ashwagandha has been used for centuries as a restorative tonic, something that brings the body back into balance, especially under stress. Modern science now shows us the core mechanism. It reduces cortisol, the primary stress hormone that, when elevated at night, interferes with almost every repair process in your body. Let me simplify that for you. At night, your body is supposed to shift into recovery mode, lowering blood pressure, repairing blood vessels, and producing hormones like testosterone and growth hormone. But if cortisol stays high, and this happens very often after age 60, your blood vessels remain slightly constricted, your sleep becomes lighter, and your body never fully enters that deep restorative state. There was a controlled study showing that ashwagandha reduced cortisol levels by approximately 27% in chronically stressed adults, and another trial found improvements in sleep quality scores by over 40%, along with measurable increases in testosterone levels in men. This matters because testosterone and nitric oxide pathways are connected, meaning better hormonal balance supports better circulation as well. Now we also need to talk about risk and adjustment. Some individuals may feel overly relaxed or slightly drowsy when first using ashwagandha, which is why starting with a low dose is important, and if you're taking sedatives or thyroid medication, you should monitor your response carefully. The goal is not sedation but balance. When you combine ashwagandha with olive oil, something important happens. The active compounds, called withanolides, are fat-soluble, which means olive oil enhances their absorption, allowing them to reach your bloodstream more efficiently, while cacao and turmeric continue supporting vascular function, creating a full system, circulation, inflammation control, and hormonal regulation working together overnight. So now you've built flow, cleared the pathway, and restored the internal environment that allows your body to repair itself. But there's still one final layer, and this is the one most men have never even heard of. Because it doesn't just improve circulation, It protects it from breaking down again. 5. Pomegranate seed oil. Now we add the final piece, and I want you to do this with precision. Take your full mixture and add half a teaspoon of cold-pressed pomegranate seed oil. Stir it gently and take it the same way, 30 to 60 minutes before bed. If you're new, start with a quarter teaspoon for the first week, then increase to half a teaspoon and stay consistent for at least 4 weeks because this step works more quietly but deeply over time. Here's what makes this different. In traditional systems, pomegranate has always been associated with blood vitality, but modern science isolates something very specific, punicic acid, a rare fatty acid that interacts with pathways controlling inflammation and lipid metabolism. The central mechanism here involves protecting your blood vessels from oxidative damage, especially from oxidized LDL, which is one of the main drivers of arterial stiffness as you age. Let me make that simple. Even if you improve blood flow and reduce inflammation, if your cholesterol particles become oxidized, they start damaging the inner lining of your vessels again. Pomegranate seed oil helps activate enzymes like paraoxinase 1, which protects those particles from oxidation, essentially shielding your arteries from internal wear and tear. There are studies showing that pomegranate compounds can reduce oxidized LDL levels by up to 40% and increase protective enzyme activity by over 20%, which directly supports long-term vascular health. But quality matters here because diluted or processed oils lose much of this effect, and overuse can cause mild digestive discomfort in some individuals, so staying within the recommended range is important. When combined with olive oil, you now have 2 complementary fatty acids working together, enhancing cell membrane flexibility while cacao, turmeric, and ashwagandha continue supporting flow, inflammation, and hormonal balance. This is no longer a single action, it's a layered system of protection and repair happening every night. And now that everything is in place, the only question left is, are you using it the right way to actually see results? Or are you making one of the small mistakes that cancels all of this out? 6. The complete nightly protocol. This is the most effective way to use everything we've talked about not as separate ideas, but as one complete system. There's one final compound I want you to include, a pinch of Ceylon cinnamon, not for flavor, but because it helps stabilize blood sugar overnight, which directly protects nitric oxide and keeps your vessels from tightening while you sleep. In simple terms, think of your blood vessels like flexible pipes. If sugar spikes at night, those pipes stiffen, but cinnamon helps keep them relaxed and responsive. Here's exactly how to prepare it. Take 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, add 1 to 2 teaspoons of raw cacao, 1 teaspoon turmeric with a pinch of black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon ashwagandha, half a teaspoon pomegranate seed oil, and now a small pinch of Ceylon cinnamon. Mix it slowly at room temperature. Never heat it to preserve the active compounds, and take it 30 to 60 minutes before bed every night. There are studies showing cinnamon can improve insulin sensitivity by up to 29% and reduce fasting blood sugar by around 10 to 15%. And when you combine that with improved endothelial function from olive oil and cacao, the effect begins to rival what we see with some standard medications, but without the same strain on the body. This isn't a quick fix, it's a nightly repair ritual, and that's why it works. And here's the part I want you to remember. This is not expensive, not complicated, and not dependent on prescriptions. Your body still knows how to repair itself. You just need to give it the right signals at the right time consistently. If you found this helpful, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. In future videos, I'll continue breaking down simple, science-backed routines like this, things you can actually do at home to support circulation, energy, and long-term vitality after 60. We'll look at what truly works, what most people get wrong, and how to build habits your body responds to. Thanks for spending this time with me, and more importantly, for taking a step toward taking better care of yourself.